Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session designed to evolve and change a critical inner voice that uses shame and almost abuse to try and maintain high standards and evolve that to something much more empowering and useful. And I was working with a client that did have very high standards and were very capable, but at the same time, when they didn't meet those standards or they felt that they made a mistake, the default was to almost wallow in shame and self-criticism as a form of emotional self-flagellation. And flagellation is a horrible term, but it comes from what deeply religious people historically would do, and that is they would whip themselves until they bled with a form of a device, almost like if you think of a pirate, the cat of nine tails. It's kind of like a whip with many different different barbs coming off a central thing. There was a scene, I think, in the Da Vinci Code where the priest character flagellates themselves because they did something wrong, and it was a form of self-punishment. And for a lot of people that have got used to self-criticism and shaming themselves, that's the function. The function is that either they don't deserve to feel good, so they're going to make themselves feel bad and hope that they learn a lesson from that to kind of raise standards in the future. But science doesn't really support that thesis that beating something with a stick improves, let's say, competency or the desire, the motivation to do better in the future. If you think of any animal like a dolphin that can do tricks, generally it's treats and rewards that are much more influential than punishment or fear of punishment. And this particular client had a historical role model that they called Chet that they felt was really encouraging, and that when they worked with this person, they felt a desire to be their best and to improve and to learn from setbacks and not to wallow in shame. So what you're going to hear is a choice, the choice to either self-flagellate and wallow in shame and pain and criticism, or to listen to words of encouragement and insight and wisdom and self-reflection to actually improve their ability to become better. In both cases, the intention is very similar, to raise standards and do good things, but one comes from a negative place of shame and criticism, and the other is more like an empowering coach or a mentor that really wants to see someone do well. And when that inner voice changes from the critical, harsh, abusive voice to a caring, compassionate, supportive voice, magical things can happen. And that's really what this session is all about. So if you feel that you're your own worst enemy and you criticize and berate yourself a lot, I think you'll benefit a lot from this session. I call it Chet GPT just because it's a bit of a wordplay on Chat GPT. But if you imagine that your brain is more powerful currently than the most powerful computer and even artificial intelligence at this stage, that will change probably within the next few months. But for now, that's true. Imagine having a model of someone that you consider empowering, supportive, and encouraging as your new inner voice whenever you don't meet standards, and just explore this session to see how that would improve the quality of your life and your work. If you feel like working with me directly could be beneficial for you, as always, there's a link in the show notes that you can schedule a completely free consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. As they close, position your body in a way that it can become more easily relaxed. Maybe shift the weight. Release that obvious tension. As you breathe in, feel that wonderful feeling of relaxation, melting away tension. But imagine it's melting away slowly. Perhaps like an ice cube in a glass of water on a spring day. Feel that the tension is slowly melting away. So much so that with each inward and outward breath, you're feeling more and more relaxed. Releasing physical tension, but also allow any disempowering beliefs that you've been holding on to also melt away. And maybe the ultimate belief to melt away is any ideas of you not being good enough. As you start to appreciate that not being good enough is a moving target that can never be hit. A mirage that no matter how close to it you get, it simply moves off into the distance, being a tempting, alluring goal, but never achievable. And for years you've been chasing pots of gold at the end of rainbows, always seeing the next rainbow to chase that gold, without realizing the real gold is in the person you're becoming by having high standards. And I wonder what would happen if you could keep those high standards, keep the ability to grow, evolve, to get better and better, without any need for shame, criticism, to let go of any feelings of unworthiness, rather than spending your time chasing shadows. It would free up the time to do the things that would actually make the difference. Breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to imagine being in a meadow, seeing a rainbow. Breathe in that fresh air. Only this time, the rainbow is static. I want you to imagine you could get close to that rainbow and that fragmented diffracted light doesn't move. Almost imagine the rainbow to be as solid and real as something you can hold in your hands. And because the rainbow doesn't move, imagine finally you can dig for that buried treasure. Imagine starting digging the base of that rainbow. But what if the gold wasn't a precious metal, but an opportunity to change your life, to give more joy, more feelings of confidence and worthiness, given the choice of choosing a bar of gold or the ability to transform your life positively with infinite exponential growth? You already know which is more valuable. As you start digging for that gold, I want you to imagine you see it. Perhaps a large treasure chest of gold there under the surface of the soil. But as you open the chest and see that shiny gold, find yourself teleported into a conference room. Maybe it's a conference room that you recognize from your past. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed. Allow this conference room to be a representation of how you deal with falling below your high standards. At one end of the conference room, I want you to imagine seeing someone that you deem to be thoughtful, meticulous, and wise. And at the other end of that conference table, I want you to imagine seeing a painful-looking whip. A whip with a short handle and multiple, and perhaps even sharp, elements at the end of several strands coming out. For a while now, you've been using shame and pain as a motivator. And I want you to imagine you can continue to use this psychological self-flagellation to attempt to improve standards. Imagine that you've just fallen short of very high standards. And you could, if you choose, pick up this painful, this whip that would be used for you to whip your own back until it bleeds. And maybe you could use the false logic that by punishing yourself, you'll do better next time. But none of the science supports that theory. They teach dogs and dolphins to do incredible tricks, not by beating them with a stick, but by giving them treats and accurate feedback. It's good enough for a dolphin, it's good enough for you. at any point in the future you hear a familiar voice of shame and criticism, hurtful words, unwinnable strategies, just know that you're now making a choice. You're choosing to feel bad, hoping it will improve future performance. I want you to imagine just once whipping your back with this tool of self-flagellation and try and hold on to the idea that pain and shame and criticism helps. And if you come to the conclusion that even though you've done it for a while, it never really worked to the level you wanted it to, and you're open-minded to a different way of growth, evolution, and learning, let me know by nodding your head. So you put the whip down and you walk to the other end of the conference table. And you see someone there, and let's call them Chet, that represents how you would want your inner voice to be whenever you fall short of your high expectations. A voice of encouragement, support, a caring, compassionate, thoughtful voice that makes you want to do better, not feel shamed into making tiny progress. I want you to imagine Chet is there, talking to you, asking the kind of questions in that slow, soft, thoughtful way that encourages you to figure out new ways of thinking, new actions to take, new perspectives or strategies. And then imagine shrinking Chet all the way down and physically placing Chet in the exact location that critical inner voice used to be. And once the model of Chet is in that same location, just test that you can hear their voice in that soft, slow, thoughtful way in that exact same location. But this time, they want you to do better. Not shaming you every time you make a mistake. Because this part of you knows that mistakes are essential to become better. An invaluable source of feedback, where the new mantra will be you either win or you learn. You either get it right or you have the exact blueprint to learn exactly what needs to change for you to be better than you've ever been before. Imagine sitting down in a chair in that conference room, willing to update your mind in the same way that you update the operating system on a phone. From this point onwards, every time you hear an inner voice for raising standards, you now recognize Chet speaking softly, slowly, with intention and care. Chet gently guides you towards your highest standards, turning every mistake into a valuable lesson, empowering you with wisdom and growth. You feel Chet's supportive presence, coaching you through challenges with kindness and encouragement, always aiming for your best. And whenever you're faced with setbacks, Chet asks insightful questions that lead you to powerful self-reflection and positive insights. Notice how Chet's voice is meticulous and thoughtful, carefully guiding you to discover your own path to improvement and success. And maybe you find comfort in Chet's words, knowing that they come from a place of unconditional support and an authentic desire for your well-being. With Chet, there's no room for shame or negativity, only constructive, empowering feedback designed to lift you higher. Chet teaches you how to be better, gently showing you the way instead of telling you, making learning a journey of discovery. And whenever that old critical voice attempts to return, simply call on Chet. You could picture the letters C-H-E-T, say the word Chet in your inner dialogue, and suddenly and magically, Chet's voice appears. If an old employee was fired and they attempted to return to their old job, they would swiftly be removed because they don't have that function anymore. Chet's guidance is like that of a trusted coach who wants nothing but the very best for you. Always patient, always understanding. And perhaps you notice how Chet uses questions to unlock your full potential, leading you to insights that inspire and motivate. Under Chet's guidance, you see mistakes not as failures, but as stepping stones to greatness. Approach with curiosity and resilience. Chet encourages you to celebrate your progress, no matter how small, recognizing each step forward as a victory. And notice how you feel more confident. You're now going into battle with the exact resources that you need to be victorious. You feel empowered to take on new challenges by saying yes to things that maybe you would have said no to in the past. You feel empowered that with this inner Chet there by your side, you can know that whatever happens, you win, because that constructive support and wisdom treats every event as a learning opportunity. And perhaps Chet will remind you of your strengths in moments of doubt, rekindling your confidence with every thoughtful word. And with each passing day, Chet's voice becomes stronger within you, transforming your inner dialogue into a source of power and positivity. And I don't know how long it will take before you really will appreciate the shift from self-criticism to self-coaching, grateful for the gentle, empowering presence of the very essence of Chet in your thoughts. Their influence makes you more resilient, teaching you how to accept feedback and use it to fuel your growth. feedback is the breakfast of champions. Criticism and shame is just self-flagellation. And you can always go back to that pain and misery and sadness and stress. Or you could choose to listen to that coaching voice inside your mind as you find yourself naturally embodying those qualities that Chet represents: kindness, patience, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Don't be surprised if you become more meticulous, more thoughtful, more self-assured. And whenever you need guidance, clarity, or a boost of motivation, notice that Chet is there, ensuring that your inner voice has gone from your worst enemy to now your greatest ally. Breathe in and breathe out, and imagine maybe a few days from now, maybe a week from now, you encounter something difficult. Maybe you didn't live up to a high standard. And just check that it's Chet's voice that's there, rather than the old voice of criticism and shame. And if it's that new voice there, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Breathe in and breathe out and feel that you're now back in a meadow with a whole pot of gold underneath a rainbow, realizing that the true gold is this shift. To go from a life of shame and blame and criticism and abuse to now being coached and having your own personal mentor inside your own mind, lifting you up, full of self-belief that you are capable of incredible things, is worth more than gold. Breathe in, breathe out, feel like you're returning to the present moment. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect fully in the here and now. All sensations returning to your arms and legs, feeling fully present here in the moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.